Hi, I'm Kylie, an exchange student from Canada who took Driving Global Business this semester while here at Aalto University. Culture has always played a major role in the way companies do business. From social norms to language, a variety of barriers can cause great disruption and conflict for negotiations involving different countries. There is a definite possibility for managerial and operational conflicts to arise from the multiple aspects of cultural differences between two companies. One of the best ways to showcase the differences of culture within countries is the Hofstede's model of culture. Looking at the Hofstede model can allow a company to see how their business model would compare to that of a business within another country. Sometimes these cultural differences can simply be not realizing those differences, or sometimes they can be obvious disrespect. A great example of how majorly these cultural differences can affect companies was when an American salesman who presented a potential Saudi Arabian client with a multi-million-dollar proposal in a pigskin binder, considered vile in many Muslim countries. For this video, I will use the case of the merger of Chrysler and Daimler as an example to showcase the importance of understanding the vast impact these cultural differences can have. The Hofstede model is made up of 4 different dimensions: power distance, masculinity versus femininity, uncertainty avoidance, and individualism versus collectivism. Power distance shows the degree that the society accepts and expects that the power is distributed unevenly. In countries with low power distances, this means that there is less of a hierarchy of power throughout companies. Managers will encourage collaboration and consult with their employees before making decisions that will affect the employees' base as a whole. Although hierarchy does still exist, it plays a much smaller role in how companies do business and their corporate structure. Masculinity, in terms of the cultural model, shows traits that have long been associated with masculinity and what each society prefers in terms of achievement. Some of these traits are assertiveness, materialism, competition, and heroism. Alternatively, feminine cultures stand for a preference for cooperation, modesty, caring for the weak, and quality of life. Levels of individualism within a country greatly affect the way businesses are run and what form of corporate structure they take on. Companies with a lower rating on individualism tend to have more of a family-style environment and value collaboration and shared responsibility, which impacts the employees-manager relation. As well, employees view themselves as first being a part of a company and secondly an individual within the company. This would mean workers will be willing to help each other if it benefits the company overall, rather than just themselves. In individualistic companies, employees have a more personal motivated factor, where they are more self-focused. Uncertainty avoidance is the degree to which countries and its nationals tend to avoid situations which they view as ambiguous, they cannot predict, or they are uncertain of the outcome. Jobs with low uncertainty avoidance tend to have clear and outlined rules and guidelines where the employees know exactly what they need to complete. The management team of a low uncertainty avoidance corporation tend to create and implement systems that aid in the predictability of the firm. Countries with high uncertainty avoidance tend to try avoiding new things, changing their secure jobs, and welcoming outsiders. On the opposite ends, countries with low uncertainty avoidance, such as the United States, have a much stronger acceptance of the knowledge and tolerance for the unforeseen. Specifically, they view failure as a positive and worthwhile learning experience, as well as appreciating and support the career of entrepreneurship. A great example of the impact these cultural differences can have on negotiations can be seen in the failed merger of Chrysler by Daimler. When German Daimler, the makers of Mercedes-Benz, merged with American company Chrysler in the late 1990s, it was called a merger of equals, but after a few years it was being called a fiasco. Contradictory company cultures had the two divisions at war as soon as they merged. Differences between the companies included their level of formality, philosophy on issues such as pay and expenses, and operating styles. The German culture became dominant and employee satisfaction levels at Chrysler dropped off the map. One unhappy joke that would circulate around Chrysler at this time was, how do you pronounce Daimler Chrysler? Daimler. The Chrysler is silent. By 2000, major losses were projected and a year later, layoffs began. In 2007, Daimler sold Chrysler at a loss for $6 billion. During the pre-merger planning, Daimler put little weight on the fact that the deal would be a cross-border one. Apparently, it assumed that this would create no special problems. From looking at the Hofstede model, it is evident that Germany and the United States vary on many fronts that would greatly impact this business deal. If the CEOs and upper-level management had have considered these differences and planned to mitigate them, this merger still may be active. By failing to understand the differences within their corporate and country cultures, businesses cannot expect to have a company that creates any synergies or profit. Within doing global business, one major aspect is being able to communicate efficiently and effectively with those who you're going to not only form partnerships with, but also just the general public of the location you are doing business in. Without a good level of communication and understanding of these cultural differences, basic global business cannot be completed, making understanding the Hofstede model and the impact on negotiations a crucial fundamental aspect of internationalization.